back. Y'all ready to get into shambles?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
What are we? Hold on. What are we toasting it up to?
Toast to this week's episode,
which is
episode 4.
Sins of the Father.
That's tough, y'all.
Shit.
Woo! That shit weak. That don't really do nothing.
The Cavassier.
Nah. But shout out to them though.
Nah, listen, y'all. I ain't gonna quote the Bible, because I don't know it all that well. But I know somewhere in there,
Got the preacher voice.
in Ezekiel, I believe, actually I know it a little bit.
Okay.
You're not big on phones? I mean, you can look it up.
Actually, I might know the verse.
Please don't misquote.
No, I'm gonna say it because I believe in myself. It's on my spirit. I gotta get it off.
True.
It's on my spirit.
I'm chilling. I'm asleep right now.
Ezekiel's 18, 20. Okay? Somebody check me on it.
I will.
Check me. Ezekiel 18:20
Intern, look that up.
speaks about the sins of the father, and basically if the son will pay for the sins of the father, and if the father will pay for the sins of the son. And it goes on to talk about death and tells you that
I didn't know Ezekiel 18:20.
It is.
it is?
You got it
Okay, listen.
However,
I thought that face you made.
it says, the one who sins is the one who will die. The child will not share the guilt of the parent, nor will the parent share the guilt of the child. The righteousness of the righteous will be credited to them, and the wickedness of the wicked will be charged against them. However, that is the New International Version. I know for a fact that sins of the father, the son shall not bear the guilt of the father, nor the father bear the guilt of the son. I know that there is one that says sins of the father.
Yes, it's in there somewhere. It's not in Ezekiel though.
But you had it though.
I had it.
You had it. Good job. I appreciate you.
I had it, okay?
Getting that right.
I went to church on Sunday. I told y'all. Y'all didn't believe me. Okay? But even though this is talking about death, specifically, do we pay for the sins of our father?
Yes.
In the sense that what?
Yes and no.
In the sense that, and real quick, to my father, I'm not talking shit. I'm not doing nothing, disrespectful. Love you, no disrespect. But it's something we gotta talk about, and it's something we ain't talking about. So I'm gonna talk about it on Shamblicity, cause goddamn, they got my back.
And that's a disclaimer for all of us, because
yeah.
I love my dad as well, and there's no shade, there's no disrespect, but I have the right to tell my story.
You do.
As does Trevor, as does Pat.
Right. So, you was asking me like, in what way do we pay for the sins of our fathers? Growing up, watching them, seeing like how impressionable you are from age like
0
born to 5, to even to when you like 18, like you know what I mean? Like you learn from them how they interact with not just women, but how they move throughout the day, how the respect that they garner that you feel like you can't get a lot of the time because it's like damn, but you don't realize that they've earned that shit through life. But how if they spoil you, if they make you grow up in a bipolar environment, if they have a lot of women friends, quote unquote, you learn from all that. You learn how to talk to women. You learn how to dress yourself. You learn how to take care of your money. You learn so much from your father, bro. I can't even really list all that shit. But the one thing that everybody does learn from their father is how to carry yourself. Let me say that. You learn that shit. If you have your father in your life, you learn how to carry yourself. And if they carry themselves a certain way, whenever you in a situation that you got to act on your own, first thing you're gonna do is think about how your daddy acted, and you gonna act accordingly to that. So that's what I mean, like
Well,
that you pay for that, yeah.
That makes sense. Like I don't know. Me and my dad had a better relationship when I was a kid. I want to say when I became a teen, probably like 13, 14, shit started to change drastically. And and I don't know what it comes from, but I remember a time where I was living with my dad. How can I tell the story? I moved with my dad when I was starting 9th grade, and I lived with him for a year. And it was weird because I was used to living with my mom and all my sisters in a house with all of my family. With him, it was just me and him all the time. And he was barely there. And when he was there, he was either working or he had female company most of the time. But even before that, our relationship got a little rocky. But after that, it really got strained because when I moved out my 10th grade year, the following year, he felt like I was choosing sides, like I was choosing my mom over him. And at the time, they was going through like this whole custody shit and child support and all this other bullshit. And it just put a big ass strain on our relationship. And I remember realizing during that time that not only did I not have a father who I could be close with and trust and talk to and love the way I wanted to love and be loved the way I felt like I deserved to be loved, I didn't have a lot of male friends. I didn't have uncles that I was close to. I didn't really have any male figures that I could look up to and say, okay, I want to be like this man. So all I had was to learn from my dad, and I saw a lot in him that I see in myself today, the good and the bad. Do I think I'm paying for some of his sins? Absolutely, because the things that he's done has affected me tremendously in ways that I don't even know.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Serious question, no bullshit. Do you think that your sexuality had any part
I was thinking that.
in your father
In our relationship?
switching up on you like how he did?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I think it had everything to do with, well, actually, I'm not going to say no because I've thought about that a lot. Because I, for some reason, like my sister's older. My sister's his first child, but she's only 2 years older than me. And I remember there was a time that we was in a car, and he was driving, my sister's in the second row, I was in the third row. And he kept screaming at me all the way in the third row, saying all type of shit, saying that I was fake, saying that I wasn't real, and that my sister was the real one. And I was
That shit is crazy.
I was literally in
How old were you?
I was 19? No. Yeah, I was somewhere between 18 and 20. Somewhere between 17 and 20, I'll say. And he's saying all of this shit about me being fake, and I'm dead ass confused. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because my dad has a strained relationship with all of his kids. All 5 of us, he has a strained relationship. But I have the best relationship with him out of all of us. Maybe it's because I'm the only boy. And I don't know, but in that moment, I was just thinking, like, why does he constantly treat me like shit when I'm the only one out of all of my sisters, no shade, out of all of my sisters that call him, that's around, that doesn't talk shit about him to other people, that doesn't do this, that, and the fourth. And it hurt me a lot, but I still don't know where that fucking came from, but it made me question myself. I didn't think what was wrong with him. I thought, what was wrong with me? Like, why is he doing this to me? Why is he saying this shit to me? And I think me feeling like that kind of transitioned into how I deal with men right now.
Yeah.
I gotta be very, very careful not to look for a father figure in a relationship. Because a lot of men and women that grow up with strained relationships with their father, they grow up to date their father, or someone like their father is what I'm trying to say. So I got to be careful of that. And I've been in that space a couple times where I've dated someone that was like him to a fucking T, and you see it, and it's like
Yeah.
a red fucking flag, and it's like, run. Fucking run.
But you don't run.
Yeah.
But you don't run.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
so
don't
familiar
run.
Because it's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
feels,
familiar.
it's comfortable, you're used to it, it's like, okay.
I know how to handle this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't been there before.
Mm.
But,
Damn, man.
I don't know. I think what's weird though, especially now that I'm getting older, is how much of my dad I see in myself. Especially because I feel like we didn't spend a lot of time together, but when I fucking come in the house and I laugh like him, or I'm on the phone and I say something that he would say,
Mm-hmm.
or I walk around with my pants down all the time because he does the shit. It's just like, it's just little shit that I see in him.
It's like it gives you like a mixed reaction. You like you love it, but you also not even hate it, but it's like you like apprehensive, or you like you confused. You like, why am I acting like this motherfucker that don't give a shit about, or you feel like don't give a shit about me, whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't escape from genetics. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's like, okay, like that is my dad, but I don't want to be
him.
I want to be like my dad, but I don't want to be like my dad.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying completely, bro. So, is that your thing, or you got more?
Listen, I can go on and on. We go.
Let me go ahead and get into mine a little bit real quick. So I'm gonna start from like where he started. When I was young, I don't really remember a time where I didn't feel like my dad was like was disappointed in me. Like, I think when I started kindergarten, straight up, this shit is kind of funny, but it's not. It's like I would get my ass beat every single day because I would come home with bad notes. You know what I mean? The little bad notes.
Badass kid.
Like I had there was actually something wrong with me. I was the youngest person in my kindergarten grade or whatever like that. So obviously I'm gonna act differently than all the other kids. But teacher didn't care about that. Dad didn't really care about that. I would get my ass beat every day. From that point on, from kindergarten, me and him had like a kind of a weird relationship, I'd say, because I don't really know the word for it. I've been drinking. I don't know. Nothing I ever did would like satisfy him or whatever like that. And that's your father. So if he's disappointing you all the time, you like, fuck. He's a major. Your dad is a major influence in your life. If you feel like he doesn't approve of something that you're doing or whatever like that, and it's all the time, constantly, you gonna start to internalize that. You gonna start to be like, well, fuck. I ain't shit.
You're
right. And it's like, I see a lot of myself and my dad, or my dad and myself, just because, one, I look like him. Two, I like laugh like him, have some of the same mannerisms. Three, my relationships with people. Like, so my dad was in the Army. He would go everywhere. He would be everywhere but at home, is what it felt like. And that shit fucks with you. Like, it's difficult, like, not having your pops around. Especially when he's a part of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's terrible. So you start to feel abandonment. You start to feel, like, thrown to the side. You start to feel like you just not worth the time. And then when he do be home, he care more about your sister. Because I got an older sister, too. You know what I mean? It's like, I got an older sister. And it's just like, they have always been cool. But me, I have to, like, vie for his attention. I have to fight for that shit. I have to, like, really do some shit that I might not even want to do for him to be proud of me. I remember growing up, like, my dad used to think I was gay because I never brought a girl home or anything like that. Because, you know, he from the South, you know, Southern motherfuckers, they hunch. They gets it in at an early age. I've had opportunities to do some shit like that, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna wait till I meet somebody that I fuck with. You know what I mean? Because I got a lot of my mom in me too, and I felt like that was what she would have wanted. But I had this really bipolar relationship with my father, which, for y'all that don't know, being bipolar is it can be genetic, yes, but it can also be learned, sort of. Like, it can also be kind of conditioned if the environment that you live in is bipolar, if you come home one day and your pops is like, and say you living with him, because I was living with him in my last couple of years of high school, I was living with my father. If you come home, one day he's nice as hell, y'all go out to get something to eat, y'all have good conversation, you go back up to your room, you chill, you play video games, whatever. But the next day, he on your ass about some shit that's not even big. He just berating you, killing your whole confidence, your soul, your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's two different sides of a coin, and you can't, when your brain is developing, you can't handle that, and like that conditions your brain, that helps condition your brain to that condition that might be in your head already. So I'm not about to sit up here and say that like my dad's the reason I'm bipolar. Like, all I'm saying is, did he aid in that? Of course. Stuff that I've learned from him, I ain't really trying to put my pops out there like that, but he was a Rolling Stone. He did.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, so he was pimping low key. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But
it ain't easy.
It molded me to this day, because the second I had sex, I was gone. I was out there fucking, and it's like the way I do shit like that, I learned, and I have to unlearn, but I learned from my pops, being around all the women that he was with, all that type of shit.
You had to unlearn that.
I had to unlearn. I'm still unlearning it.
You're still unlearning. It takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time.
I'm not as bad as like some people, but I ain't as good as people.
Some people.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the way that our relationship has molded a lot of my outlook and a lot of how I cope with shit. Like, I felt abandoned by him a lot of the time because he had to go somewhere for work or had to do some shit. So a lot of the time, or when I have an episode, or when I had episodes of bipolar disorder, my instinct would be to abandon people when shit is going bad for me, or when I perceive things are going bad for me. Like, I remember a time when I was in Los Angeles with some friends. How was that?
I was almost there.
He was almost there.
Almost there.
He had left before, but I had these two friends that like we was just they was like getting on my case. We did a lot of drinking, among other things. It was a lot of shit going on for me. It was a different environment. Everything was like culminating. I felt like they were treating me a certain kind of way, and then I had an episode and I abandoned them. Basically, I left LA. Like, I was trying to buy plane tickets like to anywhere, to like Korea or Italy or shit like that. Like, I was buying them, then I was like giving them back because I would get back lucid. I would come back to my senses, but then I'd go right back into that episode. So it's like the abandonment factor. I learned that from him. I self-sabotage. I learned a lot of that from him. Like ruining good shit for you. Like, I ruined a good relationship for myself because I self-sabotage. I don't mean to. You know what I mean? But it's shit that I've done. Going back to episode 1, I self-sabotage. Yeah. The whole thing. I just learned a lot of shit that I need to unlearn from my father to keep it playing.
But I think like one of the beautiful things about our generation is that we do unlearn the shit that we've been learned.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of things that have come from our fathers and our parents in general, our mothers and fathers and grandparents, they took so much from their parents, and we've all heard how shit just get passed down from generation to generation to generation. It seems like our generation is more capable of stopping that buck.
I'd say more conscious.
More conscious. Which makes you more capable. Right. If you're conscious and you're capable of it. Because I think about how I remember my dad one day said, he said something like, you should be grateful for how, or you should be grateful for that, you should be grateful that I'm around now, because my dad wasn't there at all.
They try to push that on you.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
this tells me one of the reasons why he's the way he is now is because he learned this shit from his dad.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
His dad was doing the same fucking thing to him. So I'm glad that you said that you're unlearning that shit, because that's important. We all have to do that. We got to be conscious of everything that we take in and everything that we give out.
I think those generations before didn't want to unlearn it.
They didn't have they didn't have the going back to the question with the phones, like the social media shit. They didn't know that we were all. I'm gonna talk about black people. They didn't know that we was all intrinsically like linked.
Yeah.
Through the same upbringing and shit like that. And like
Mm-hmm.
because we know that this is a positive side of social media, because we like can see the patterns and shit like that, we can break the cycle. So like that's an advantage that we have. However, does everybody use the internet the right way?
No.
Fuck no. So that's what I think. That's why we can do all that shit.
I agree. Because before, like, people were saying, oh, my family, we don't talk about this, we don't talk about that, we don't talk about our business outside of this, and like like when you do that, you feel like you're the only one that's going through this shit.
And nobody else is gonna say anything.
Yeah, and since nobody else is saying anything, you really feel like you're the only one going through that shit. So it's harder to grow from that and to heal when you're just by yourself in a little box and you're hiding from your truth, because your truth is all that shit that you're telling yourself didn't happen, all the shit that you're not sharing with, like, what they say, we're as sick as our secrets. It's you gotta bring that shit out, because that's how you heal from it. And I think our generation does a lot of talking. We conversate about this shit. We bring the shit up to not only our peers, but we also talk about it with our parents. Some of us, not all of us, but some of us, and that's important for growth and healing, I think.
I remember what's it called? I actually stopped talking to my dad for like a year and a half, I think, for a long ass time, because I was trying, like I said, I was trying to unlearn, I was trying to unpack, I was trying to like find who I was inside of all this shit. And we gonna let Pat talk, y'all. We sorry.
No, you good.
But I remember the last conversation I had with him before we got back into contact, like a week ago. Like I told him something that he didn't like, and he was audibly disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, I like shut down, and then I finally asked myself, it's just like, why does he have so much control over you? Why are you letting him have this much control over you? You're your own person. You're 20-something. You got to figure it out for yourself. He figured it out for himself. You got to figure it out for yourself. And what I did, thank God, he's still alive, because like I said, anything could happen in the blink of an eye. But I cut off all contact. I had to find me. I had to not try to be what I thought that he wanted me to be. And I had to fucking deal with shit on my own. And really try. Because this was after I left them people in LA. This was before I fucked up episode 1. This is a lot of shit. But I decided to like cease contact until I was strong enough to be able to face him without letting him without feeling like he was taking control of me. So yeah.
You want me to get into my shit?
Yes.
'Cause my shit is a lot different than y'all's. Like, because I grew up without my father for at least 7 years, close to 8 years, without any male or I had my grandfather who passed when I was 6, I believe, 6 or 7. So that's who was my father figure. And then my uncle, who had that bipolar type mentality, greatest athlete on earth. And he would always push it on me. That's why I probably have 50-inch vertical. that genetics, that side. But they would always push that shit on me. But his attitude was so terrible that I kind of had to like isolate myself from that. But that's because I had my grandmother who would tell me like, hey, look, you don't need to be around that. Not every man is going to be like that in your life. They're not going to leave you like your dad did. They're not going to treat you like he does. And your grandfather passed, I know, whatever, but everybody's not going to do that. Then my mom gets married, and then my grandmother says the dude ain't shit. So I'm going off that. Like if she think he ain't shit, she's grown. Then I'm gonna stick with that.
And you trust and love your grandma. So
my grandma's like me. Like you're just gonna be straightforward, straight to it. He ain't shit. Right. So I'm already looking at him sideways.
Hey, shout out to grandmothers. They keep it so real. They're the OGs.
Keep your ass away from him.
I love you, Momo. I'm just saying.
She was straight up with me, like, he ain't shit. My mom was a teacher at the time, but she was progressing to be like higher in that career path. But he was working at some restaurant. She was not having that. She was like, why is my mom dating down? She didn't appreciate that. She was like, your grandfather would never approve of him. So I was kind of like, yo, who do I turn to? So I was kind of raised by the village, by everybody around me. So I'm like, yo, I didn't have that. Even if it was bad, I didn't have anybody to look up to directly in the house. Right. So now I'm outside. I'm trying to mimic these guys. So I'm hanging around older guys, 17, I'm 11, 10, hanging around these guys, they gang banging. They play ball, that's the only commonality we have, but when we're not playing ball, they doing all this other shit. And I'm right there, 11, exposed to all this shit. But that's who I look up to. Because why would I look up to this dude who my grandmother says ain't shit? She don't say that these people ain't shit. So I'm looking up to them. And I feel like it's part of it's my mother's fault for hiding my real dad from me. Like last year, he reached out to her trying to reach out to me. But she was like, don't talk to him. It's going to be a waste of your time. It was like right after my book came out. And then later I discovered, like how Trev said, he could be gone like that. Like, why not just reach out? But knowing me, I just...
You didn't reach out?
No. Just because at the time she was aware of it. I want to do it without her being involved at all. And her awareness was too high at that time. If I would have reached out, he would have reached back, and then I would have probably isolated myself from both of them. Because it would have been bringing back that whole shit with them. And I didn't want to do that. But like you said, you can't escape genetics. That man looks just like me, but he's like Drew's skin color. Like, just like me, though. So it's kind of hard to deal with, knowing that somebody's out there like you, but you don't know who they are at all. Like, I had to ask my mom what his name was, because I knew nothing about this man. But then I had to write about him in the book, because that has to be a part of the story, because it is. You don't just get raised by the village in your neighborhood. Where's your dad? Somebody's going to ask that. And shit, I didn't know. I don't know. But the crazy thing is he lived like an hour away from me this whole time. If that, an hour away. So you see, yeah, my whole life. I could have popped up, like randomly I could have seen him somewhere.
Do you think you
probably had?
Yeah,
I know. He probably knows me. He definitely knows who I am. Yeah. That's what's crazy.
Do you think you're ready to reach out now?
I've been ready to reach out. I just haven't. I've been thinking about it the last few days. But I wanted us to talk about this episode first before I reached out.
I feel like, man, you don't get a second chance.
I know.
Bro.
Yeah, I was listening.
You would regret that shit for the rest of your life.
And I've only known him know who he was for like a year, if that. So I haven't really had the time to get it together.
And just
this is easier said than done.
Yeah.
Get to know him.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm definitely going to. If I reach out, he doesn't say shit back, then I'm gonna talk about it on here. Yeah. But if we are cool or whatever, then we could do that.
But definitely manage your expectations, but definitely try to.
But I think that goes for single mothers out there. Like, don't. My mom never did that. She never talked about him. So I didn't have like my own perception of him. She let me build my own shit. So I think all the single mothers out there, just don't say shit to the kid about the dad, about the father. Because it ruins their relationship, even if they when they don't have one. So now I'm never going to want to build one, which will happen with my stepfather.
Like if you're like saying like negative shit, like your dad ain't shit, or he left you. Yeah, don't say no shit like that.
Speaking of which.
And that's what my grandmother did.
Yeah. Speaking of which, my mother and father got a divorce. My mother always talked negative about my dad. My dad always talked negative about my mom. So now you got a mixed perception of both of them.
See what I'm saying?
That shit is tough to navigate through.
And you can't ignore it because they know that person the best. They know them better than you're gonna know them. So why would you not believe it?
Inside and out.
See, my mom would I think she would do things purposely so I would see for myself how he was. She'd be like, oh, well, call your daddy right now. Or
that's petty as shit.
Or go over there, because my dad, for most of my life, well, I'm a little bit older now, most of my early life, he lived literally 4 streets over from me. I could walk to his house in 5-6 minutes. She'd be like, oh, knock on his door. See if he there. He wouldn't be there. He wouldn't answer the phone. So
it's affirming everything. You're like, okay, see?
So she didn't have to do it. I already had my own perception of who he was and what he would do for me.
See, I had none.
Yeah.
And then my stepfather was already negative. So I didn't listen to shit he was saying, and he didn't really try to get into my life like that, because I was already 7, 8 years old. Like at that time, the kid's gonna fuck with you or it's not gonna fuck with you at all.
The kids know.
The kids know. I was old enough. If I was like 3, 2, then you could understand like, okay, I can pick up and be the dad. But 7 or 8, like you kind of already know what the fuck you doing. And then they had their own kids together. So then now he has to be the father to that. He doesn't need to worry about. Well, he does need to worry about me, but not necessarily. Like, so he's focusing on his kids. And my brother and sister don't appreciate having that. They don't understand. My sister will always ask, who's your dad? She'll always ask me that. And I'll be like, I don't know. You find out. You probably know more than I do. I always say that to her, and she talks bad about her father, but I don't think she realizes.
But she don't know what she has.
Yeah.
She don't know what she has.
He might not be the best. At least you got him. Pay attention to what he says.
And and since you said that, I want to say that it's no disrespect. Trevor already said it, but it's no disrespect to my father. I love him dearly, and I've learned a lot of positive things from him. Yeah. But like I said, I have the right to tell my story.
But we talking about sins of the fathers, not the good shit.
Yeah.
The good shit taught me how to keep my head up. Taught me how to fucking not just take shit from nobody. He taught me a cornucopia of things that's like that I use every fucking day, and I don't even realize it. But we just talking about the shit that we gotta unlearn from y'all.
Yeah.
Love y'all to death. Don't ever forget that. Topic of the episode is sins of the father.
So I'll say my sins are like commitment. Like I think that's kind of how I fear commitment. Sometimes it's like I don't realize it, but I think self-sabotage, I do that a lot. I used to always do that. Like I would purposely do it because I was like, I don't want to be tied down. This was earlier in my life. And I felt like that was part of that. Seeing nobody really being attached to anybody in my life. Or growing up, I didn't see anybody locked down. If they were locked down, they did their own thing separate from the union that they had. So I would always be like, well, I'm going to still be me, even if I'm with this girl. I would never like want to be together. I would always just want to do my own thing. We can say we together, but I'm going to still do my own thing.
You stay over there. You sit 2 seats down just in case somebody
don't try to
sees.
do too much.
You
don't
can
try to
sit
be
next
my
to
family, none of that. And for the longest, I hid my family from people because of those commitment issues. Like, I didn't want anybody to know anything of what I had going on.
Like, nah, you getting too close.
Right? But you can see all that shit. If you talk to me, you can see what not having a father looks like.
Yeah. And you can see it in other people as well.
I definitely do.
You definitely see it in
other people. I can see the difference between y'all and me. From having someone, even if it wasn't the greatest, just from having someone, it's different. So when y'all were talking, I didn't care if I didn't have shit to say because I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
I had someone there, but that wasn't mine. Like,
right.
Like you said with the deal breaker being the kids. Like the kid is there. Cool, we share the kid now. We're together, but that's not mine. Right. That's how I felt with the father thing. So commitment is the biggest thing for me. I fear it.
Speaking of that deal breaker thing, liars is also the biggest deal breaker for me. But back to the
thank you.
Back to the fathers. Back to the fathers, man.
Oh, but I said I was gonna bring the black love thing full circle, whatever.
Please do.
Episode 2. Episode 2. One of the couples, she was talking about the way you love someone. She was comparing like you growing up. She called it marination. That's like when you marinate a steak before you cook it. She's saying the cooking is the love, but like how you prepare it, that's when you're growing up. So she was saying how you love someone is based on that, the marination part of your life. So again, that's why you see me now fearing the commitment to someone because of
you're still figuring out how to love somebody.
Yeah.
Same.
To commit myself to someone.
I think we all are. And yeah, definitely. Speaking of commitment, I can't say that. My dad, I'm gonna say it. My dad was probably a serial fucking cheater, and I found myself
cheating.
Tie that into it?
Not only cheating, but being okay with it.
Goddamn same. I probably shouldn't say that shit either.
Being okay with someone cheating on you?
No, I was okay with
cheating.
I was okay with me cheating.
Okay.
And me lying and me not fully committing and all the things that I saw my dad doing that I told myself growing up that I would never fucking do.
Right.
Like cheat on somebody.
Exactly.
I'm fucking
cool.
You did it.
I did it.
Multiple times.
Dude.
Multiple times.
Let me tell you something. I've only ever had one girlfriend for that reason. Because I definitely... Sorry to you. Got number love and respect for you. But I definitely cheated. And I didn't feel bad I didn't feel bad at all.
That's one of those things we gotta unlearn.
I did. That's why I've only ever had one girlfriend. Because I'm trying to, like, unlearn this shit. I'm trying to, like, stick to one at a time.
And it's like...
It's like, I can't. It's not that I can't. It's like, I was conditioned
to not do that.
Yeah. So it's like, and this is to all the women that's listening. We're not trying to make no excuses for ain't shit behavior, but you gotta understand that this shit don't just come out of nowhere. Like
I didn't decide to cheat.
I didn't decide. Okay, I did decide to cheat.
I'm saying, like, I didn't just like wake up.
We didn't make.
But it's something that pushes us to make that decision. I was conditioned to live that lifestyle where I have multiple bitches.
Right.
I have bitches I have bitches knocking on the door at fucking. Listen, when I lived with my dad, it used to be women knocking on the door at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning while another female is there. And they would be, and the female that was knocking on the door, banging on the door, knowing that he had a female in there, would be right back the next day, 2 days later. Okay. It was a fucking cycle. Like, they just didn't fucking care. He just did whatever the fuck he wanted to do. And they all knew, and they threw a fit about it, but they still came back around.
So you ain't gonna stop.
So you're not, and I was conditioned to see that was okay. Like, this is how men are. Even though I knew at that age that it was wrong.
This is how men are.
This is how men are.
And then the deciding factor in the cheating was my dad turned out okay.
So you're like,
I'm gonna turn out okay. Yeah. Or somebody that you look up to and respect turned out okay, even though they did this shit. I'm gonna turn out okay.
Or you just don't see the
negative.
The negative, because you're not the woman. You're not a woman yourself. Because we're men, so we don't really. Sometimes we can't empathize with their feelings in that moment. Yeah. Especially if we're young, we don't know what the fuck is going on. All we know is that my dad is fucking these bitches and this crazy bitch is at the door banging on the door.
Shit, that's what I want.
That's the fuck,
Like that must be right. Yeah. That must be how you're supposed to do it.
Or even if you don't think it's right at the time, you're still seeing it, so it still conditions you. Even though you're telling yourself that, yo, this is wrong, I'm not going to do that when I'm older, you're still being conditioned to it. And you got to unlearn this shit.
And then all that shit happens to you, and then you stressed out, and then your hair start falling out, and you a bald bitch, and you ain't shit. That's basically just how your life goes.
But it's in the music too. I got bitches. I got hoes.
It's in our music.
It's in the shows too.
It's in our movies.
But then you gotta ask yourself, the people that's making that music, what was their fathers like? Even if they wasn't around, it's a cycle.
Exactly. We're all linked. We're all going through that same shit.
But we gotta learn from this shit. We just can't do as we saw. Especially if we know better, because we all fucking know better. I know better than to fucking cheat on somebody.
I know now. I know now that, like, knowing that I didn't feel bad about it at all, I know that I would be a habitual cheater. I know that I would do some fuck shit like that again. So you got to make a conscious effort to not be like that.
And it's a slippery fucking slope.
It is. You do it once you own that shit.
And not even just with cheating, like with anything that you know you shouldn't be doing. Okay, once you start down that road to sin and unsanctity. Come on, church.
Because God.
No, but once you get out on the road, it's hard to get off. Like, cause like not only was my dad a cheater, he became abusive to his women. Something I will never do, and that's one thing I don't have to unlearn from him because I already learned the shit. I can't even argue with a female, let alone put my hands on her. But
I can argue, but I can't put my hands. I've seen him put his hands on my mom once or twice, and I know for a fact that can't be me. That's one of the things I like how you said. I know for a fact that can never be me. Even if somebody does me wrong.